Investigation into a salmonella outbreak.
Chipotle Mexican Grill says it is removing jalapenos from some of its restaurants. Jalapenos could potentially be tied to a salmonella outbreak. The Minnesota Department of Health confirmed an outbreak there is tied to several Mexican-style quick-service restaurants, and jalapenos are the suspected source. Officials identified 110 cases in Minnesota, with Chipotle involved in most. Chipotle says it pulled the jalapenos out of an abundance of caution and replaced them with products from a different grower in all locations where a previous common lot had been distributed. Symptoms of salmonella poisoning include diarrhea, fever, severe vomiting, dehydration, and stomach cramps. Most people who get sick recover within a week, but infections can be more severe in young children, older adults, and people with weakened immune systems. I'm Ed Donahue.
Authorities say they have arrested a man who was walking the grounds and appeared to be monitoring security planning at President Trump's California golf course 2 days ahead of the president's visit. The Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department says the man was taking photos and video and had a 16-round magazine with ammunition in his pocket. Longtime incumbent U.S. Representative Don Beyer, a Democrat seeking his 7th term in Congress, has defeated 4 challengers to win his party's nomination in Northern Virginia's 8th District. Tom Perriello wins the Democratic nomination for the U.S. House in Virginia's 5th Congressional District. The AP's Lisa Dwyer has the latest jobs numbers.
The Labor Department says that employers posted 7.36 million vacancies in June, down from 7.5 million in May, but still in line with expectations.
This is AP News. A big day on Wall Street, as we hear from AP correspondent Seth Sutel.
I'm Seth Sutel, and this is the AP Markets Report. Stocks rallied to records on Wall Street as companies kept piling up profits and as oil prices fell. The S&P 500 jumped 1.8% Tuesday. The index beat the all-time high it set in early June. The Dow added 907 points, that's about 1.7%. The Dow had set its own record the day before. The Nasdaq Composite jumped 2.6%. Palantir Technologies and Caterpillar helped lead the way after becoming the latest companies to deliver surprisingly strong profits for the spring. Palantir soared 29.5%. Caterpillar rose 5.6%. Brent crude fell below $80 a barrel. Treasury yields eased in the bond market. The yield on the 10-year Treasury fell to 4.62%. Seth Sutel, New York.
More news available at apnews.com. I'm Mike Hempin, AP News.
KGUM FM, Dedido, powered by Glimpses Media.
As Guam recovers from Super Typhoon Bavi, GTA is here to help you stay connected and keep you moving. For a limited time, get $400 off any new premium smartphone with eligible plans. Or bring your own phone to GTA and receive up to $300 in account credits. To support your recovery, you'll also receive a free $100 76 fuel gas card. Terms and conditions apply. Visit any GTA retail store today. GTA, we start with you.
Need a truck that works as hard as you do? Then head to Triple J Ford's Big Deals on Big Wheels sales event. For a limited time, score prices below dealer cost and drive home America's best-selling truck for 49 years. The legendary Ford F-150 starting at just $39,995. Choose from the rugged XL, stylish STX, or well-equipped XLT. All backed by the strength, capability, and innovation only Ford delivers. But don't wait. All stock must go. Visit Triple J Ford in Upper Tumon or get pre-approved and shop online at triplejguam.com. Triple J Ford, customers first.
Introducing the all-new Subway Wraps. Now you can make any footlong a wrap. Light, delicious, and satisfying without weighing you down. Subway Wraps make fueling your day easier than ever with bold flavors and fresh ingredients. Try the cheesy garlic steak wrap today. Subway, eat fresh, feel good.
Half a day, I'm Callan Perez and I'm running for senator. Service to our island has shaped my life, from community advocacy and substance abuse recovery to supporting sustainable agriculture. Inspired by my parents, Dr. Perez and Dr. Erickson, I remain committed to serving the people of Guam. I'm Callan Perez and I approve this message.
Explore, snap, and share for a chance to win a round-trip ticket to Taiwan. Join the Guam Photo Hunt and visit iconic landmarks and hidden gems island-wide. The more locations you photograph, the more chances you have to win exciting prizes. Learn more and submit to win online at visitguam.com/photo hunt. Terms and conditions apply. Explore, snap, and rediscover Guam. Brought to you by the Guam Visitors Bureau.
At Bank of Hawaii, we want to help make the goals you're saving for possible. Great rates are possible because you'll earn up to 5 times the national average on savings when you make a qualifying deposit of $25,000 from another bank. And flexibility is possible because you can access your savings anytime and still earn one of our highest rates.
Anything's possible.
Open a Bank Ohana savings special today and reach your possible. Rates based on the FDIC's national deposit rates. Terms and conditions apply. Visit boh.com/savings special.
With decades experience in Guam and the region, Take Care members have access to the largest offering of free fitness classes and health education programs. Membership also includes the high-quality credentialed network of on- and off-island healthcare providers and the one-stop FHB Health Center and urgent care. Ask for Take Care. Call 671-647-3526. Go to takecareasia.com for more information. Take Care. Our island, your health plan.
Hafaday, Guam! The Guam Hotel and Restaurant Association invites you to the Fair Trade Show, Guam's premier hospitality and food service event. Join us August 19th and 20th at the Hyatt Regency Guam from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Experience hands-on training sessions and exciting culinary competitions featuring professionals, apprentices, and pastry talent. Discover new products, connect with suppliers, and celebrate Guam's hospitality industry. Don't miss Fair 2026. Visit ghra.org for details.
Hats Tinting and Detailing offers premier services from complete interior cleaning and VIP detailing. And to keep you cool, Hats also offers factory, ceramic, blacked out, and based-approved auto tinting. For more information, call 647-SLAM.
Balanced, fair, thoughtful. Wave 105 FM.
Welcome to the show. This is the BrightSide right here on Wave 105. Thank you for tuning in. On this Wednesday, August 5th, my name is Ryan Nicholas. Monday through Friday, I have the pleasure of introducing this gentleman right here, the host of the BrightSide, Mr. Pauly Suba. Buenas.
Welcome to it. We do want to thank our sponsors, Chili's Grill and Bar. Chili's, more life, great food, and memories happen here. Micro Pack, from Bose to Sony and more. Micro Pack is Guam's home for quality electronics. Subway, you got to refresh to be fresh. Triple J, it's big deals on big wheels at Triple J Ford. Save thousands off retail and drive home a new Ford F-150 starting at just $39,995. Visit Triple J Ford today. Customers first. And GTA, we start with you.
Things important to you.
All right, once again, welcome to it, another bright side, even though it's not so bright outside, right?
Yeah, well.
When you came in, it was still very gloomy.
Gloomy, rainy in some spots.
Yeah.
You know, sprinkling in some areas. It's going to be here for like the whole week, right?
Yes.
Oh, man. I mean, I love it. It's a reprieve from the hot sun that we've been having.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not, I mean, every now and then it's a sprinkle, right? It's not coming down like crazy.
Yeah, but then every now and then
Every
it
now
comes
and
down.
then it will.
Come down like crazy.
For sure. No, I get it.
Speaking of crazy, lots of things going on down in the legislature today.
Oh, yeah. Do you want to get into that now, or did you want to just talk a little bit about how your week has gone?
You know, it's exactly. I mean, we are already on Wednesday, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you know, this whole big anticipation for the primary. But now that that's over, it seems like everything is shifting gears. And you normally don't see it happen like the week after. I mean, some people, all right, they switch gears. We start campaigning for the general now. But I think there's like a little bit, I mean, considering that there's a lot of things going on with the sessions that are going on at the legislature, and then people just already, totally exhausted from the primary.
There's some fatigue, right?
Major fatigue. And so people now are like, let's just take a step back and everything. But depending on where you came in, if you were a candidate and you see it, you got to do the breakdown in the numbers, right? I mean, you have the overall results, and then you have the breakdown in precincts, and then the actual number that you received at the villages, on the village level. So, you got to look at your the villages that you came strong at, the villages where, you're not strong.
You
you're
need
not
some
low.
work.
Yeah, you need some work. And then the low villages. That's, that's where all these candidates are like, okay, I didn't do good in Agate. Guess what? Start waving down in Agate. Start going down to a lot of these meetings, these, community
There's the Mount
events.
Carmel Fiesta coming up. You should all be there.
Yeah, and there's so many things that's happening. The Mango Festival happened in March, right?
That happened in May.
And then of course down in Santa Rita too.
Right.
That just recently
at the
happened.
Papaya Festival.
That
the
all
PTC
happened.
Festival.
Yeah. So just you just got to go down there and make your presence known, even if it's to, right where that "Welcome to Agate" sign. Start waving.
Yeah.
Rain or shine. So, and so I think depending on where they placed in the primary, it's incumbent on them to actually reach out to the places where they came in low and let them know that I'm running and I'm here for the village of, whatever, right? If you came low on Agania Heights or
as long as you're genuine.
Yeah.
I think people can read you if you're pandering or not, right?
Yeah.
As long as if you're a genuine person, that's going to go a long way.
Yeah. And so we're here on August 5th. August 1st was just, so how many days? I think it's at 89 days now that we are here.
I'm kind of like on a break.
Yeah.
Maybe by September I'll start thinking about it again. Because I'm like, all of these movies I want to go watch. Odyssey, I loved it. Spider-Man, that was a good one.
Spider-Man
was great. I don't really want to spoil it for people, but I mean, if you don't go this week, we're definitely talking about it next week.
I actually watched it at home. With my website and everything.
What?
Yeah.
You're not contributing to the economy.
Yeah, I do that.
What the heck? These movie theaters are going to close down because people don't go.
I do that in the form of taxes. See, so legislature, if you want me to support, the movie theaters, stop taxing me. All right, so I can have that disposable income to go out there and spread my money.
These are some good movies, and we're not. I don't know. Maybe it's because when I went, because I'm going during matinee.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of empty seats.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And when you think about it, right, when you go to the theaters, right, the price is actually okay.
It's kind of high.
It's kind of high, but,
and
considering.
I'd be willing to pay $25.
That's how much it is now?
I'd be willing if it was IMAX.
Oh, yeah.
I would be. That's the going price for an IMAX.
Oh, man.
And so I don't know. If they did an IMAX here, they would probably have to charge more than $25, right?
So my girlfriend Jen and
But maybe not IMAX. Maybe just the sofas like they have in the Philippines.
Yeah, my girlfriend Jen and I, we went, and it was the Temper something.
Tempur-Pedic?
Yeah. So
Where?
This was in BGC.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yes.
So we were like, you know what? Okay, cool.
And they bring the Coke to you.
Oh, gosh. It was like
the Coke and the popcorn?
Yeah, it's like breakfast in bed with the tray and everything.
Got to be careful because if you just flew in, this is what happened to me last time I went.
You fell asleep.
I fell asleep watching the movie. Because that's the first thing we went and did. We went straight to the mall.
Yeah.
Mall of Asia.
Yeah, it was great,
I fell asleep.
I was like...
But it was, I'm like... This is great.
Yeah.
Wish we had this here in Guam.
They gave you blankets.
Yes.
They brought your food. You order your food and then they bring it to you. And I'm like, man, and you had cookies, you had the popcorn, you had your drinks, bottle of water, whatever you wanted, and that was well worth it. I mean, $25 for that? Shoots, man.
Because
just sign me up. Don't threaten me with a good time.
Because just the general movie theater, you know, I mean, you're paying $12 a ticket.
Well,
it's not. It is a pretty penny, especially when you've got kids and you got to pay more than just who really wants to go to a movie by themselves.
You know, I mean, you know, the GPO now has, you know, I mean, I think it was either this year or last year, right? So they sold to a new owner.
No. Regal is still Regal.
Okay, but
it's the Micronesia Mall theaters used to be Tango theaters.
Yeah, but GPO was sold. That's what I'm saying. GPO.
I don't think it's been a while.
Yeah, no.
Regal got bought long time.
Yeah.
But the most recent was Tango moved out.
Yeah.
And then the mall itself has taken ownership
of the theaters.
Of the theater.
Yeah. No, so
I'm happy that they did, because that would really be terrible if that movie theater also shut down.
I mean, because we already had the one that shut down.
Again, Shopping Center, which is also Tango. That shut down during COVID, and it never reopened.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of liked it because it was...
I did too.
It was very convenient, right?
Very.
Yeah,
it's right down the street from me.
Yeah, and so I'm hoping that, you know, if there is going to be like... because it's a new owner, you know, at GPO, maybe they can like get together with the theaters and turn it into an IMAX, right?
Because I'm wondering if it would be worth it, right? I mean, if it was worth it, they would do it already, right?
Yeah. I mean, because have you ever experienced an IMAX?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, like everybody's talking. You know, the movie.
I went to in Singapore. We went and watched the Grogu, the Mandalorian and Grogu in IMAX.
Yeah.
I was like, this is amazing.
You felt like it was a part of the. You were.
I was immersed in the thing. I was like, they're shooting after me.
No, because I went, right, and this was a while back. This was like probably 2019, right?
Okay.
And I'll just give you a scenario. I don't even know the scene of the movie, but you know, they were talking about pizza, right? And I'm like, everybody's talking about pizza, and then all of a sudden you're smelling it.
Really?
I
didn't smell
it. And then if you're like in a scene where you're like in a, you know, raging waters and everything, you get wet with the mist.
Oh, wow. No, that's not what I've experienced. That's cool.
And then if like you're in the scene where, you know, the car is going fast or it's going on, you know, a rough terrain and everything, the seats start shaking and everything. I mean, it really
that's even more immersive.
It's like it's you know, I mean, back in the 80s, right? We had the 3D, you know, with the glasses that we use, you know, so it's like right in front of you. Where here you're feeling it now.
Wow.
You're smelling it, you're touching it. I mean, it's a total different experience, and that's why I don't mind $30. Hey, man,
the IMAX that I went to was 3D, but you definitely didn't have like water splashing on you or whatnot. But it's huge, and it's kind of like in like a crescent moon type, like so. It kind of arches over, so it's almost on your left side and almost not quite, but your peripheral.
Yeah,
it is on your left and your right.
That
and then, it's huge. The screen is huge.
And then, you know, one thing about me when I go into the theater is I listen for the surround sound. Right?
Yes.
And man, I mean, if something is turning or twirling, you're feeling it too with the sound, right?
Yes.
And I'm like, wow. Okay.
I wish I went to watch Odyssey in IMAX, because that's the way Christopher Nolan intended it to be for you, because he filmed it with that film for IMAX.
I mean,
it wasn't digital, right? And so watching it over at you know, the next best thing, the only thing that we got here in Guam is Regal and the Micronesia Mall. So we went to Regal, and you know, it was good. I liked the movie. However, every time it went to like these super immersive scenes and the Cyclops shows up, and there's like jump scares, the speakers were blown. So you didn't get the full impact. Yeah, and you know that it's not supposed to sound like that. And you're like,
woofer is blowing, and all you get is the flabs.
Yeah. However, I mean, maybe they renovated the theater at the Naval Base. It's been years since I went to the one in Naval Base. Maybe, I don't know, pre-COVID.
Yeah.
is when I went, like 2019.
Yeah, and
the theater there's not great either.
Yeah, that's why I'm hoping, man.
It's just the screen, and
I'm hoping.
You know, the Regal Theater beats it by a million. The Tango Theater beats the Navy Base Theater by a million as well. And so
I'm hoping somebody comes up.
It's cheap though,
you know, and renovates a movie theater or whatnot. But you know, considering the economy and everybody paying taxes, right? I mean, it's just you don't have.
If people keep watching at home.
Oh, like me, yeah, yeah.
Then they're not gonna find a reason to do it.
Oh man, you should hear my surround sound in my room, man. You know, it's like I got a 55-inch and then my bed.
The FBI is listening. Don't tell them your address.
And I allegedly watch. You know, that's
Spider-Man.
Yeah,
I don't think you watch Spider-Man. I think you watch like Spider Timu or something.
You know, it's Spider-Man, but
every
with a double N.
Every now and then, did somebody block your view?
No.
Excuse me.
This is actually good. You know who I actually, you know, okay, so, you know, when I was working down the legislature, right, my MIS guys, you know, these guys are top notch, man. They, you know, they can find stuff, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so I'm like, man, you know, I was like, and this was when I was like so like entrenched in Game of Thrones, right? I was like, man, I'm gonna miss it, man, you know. And so I didn't have.
Oh, I got you. And they sent it to you, right?
Yeah.
The leaked one too.
No,
they were leaking these episodes like a whole week.
Yeah, because I had to subscribe to HBO, right, to get, you know, because you know the time difference, right? So while New York is getting it, we're still in the afternoon, and I'm like, no, I really want to watch this, you know, next episode. So one of my coworkers out was like, hey, man, check this site out.
Yeah.
You know? And so because of that site, I stopped my subscription to HBO.
They were leaking episodes a week in advance.
Oh yeah, yeah, and so that that right there, you know, as a matter of fact, you know,
I still remember a Starbucks cup in one of the scenes,
brother,
or a water bottle, right?
Our good brother and coworker Raul Garrido was like, boy, do you know any websites about the, you know, on sports and everything? Because you know the World Cup and all
yeah.
I'm like, let me get a hold of my MIS guys.
Yeah,
you know, but yeah, no. So I 2 days ago I watched. Well, I allegedly watched Spider-Man in the comfort of my own home.
Nice.
So, and it was good. It wasn't hazy. There was no somebody standing, or you didn't see heads or anything like that. And the sound was great. Yeah, and sometimes. I mean, this website, I've had it since 2019, 2018. And, you know, it hasn't gone off yet. You don't, you know, you're not downloading anything. You're just going to the site and watching it. You know, you're going to still see some pop-up ads and everything and all that. But once you clear all that out, you're good to go. Yeah, and I'm waiting for Avengers Doomsday coming up.
Oh yeah, December.
It's going to be in December. I'm going to watch it while you guys are watching it in theaters and everything. Just tell me how good your popcorn is, because I'm air frying mine.
I want to help the economy, right? We can't keep complaining about how terrible the economy is and then we don't help.
Yeah. Well, I want to help the economy too as well, but, you know, stop taxing me so I can do just that.
What?
You know?
Taxes give jobs to police officers and firefighters and teachers, and the roads are safe.
Yeah.
I'm not mad at taxes. I'm just mad at the way we're actually executing.
No, and I get all that, right? Yes, help the teachers, help the police officers, firefighters and everything. That is great.
Yeah.
You know, but when we start giving out money, you know, especially in this year, right, you're going to see like the Christmas wish grow, you know, and everybody's going to want something, and then everybody down there, you know, down to the legislature is going to probably have to grow a beard like Senator St. Nicholas, right, and be Santa Claus. That's what they're going to be, you know, like, oh, okay, we got to take care of this, you know, because if I don't, then it's going to show in the numbers when it comes down to November 3rd. So everybody's going to be Santa Claus this year, you know, especially right before the election. So again, I don't mind helping the economy, but, you know, help me help you, okay? Like, stop taxing me so I can go out there and spend my money at all these places and everything, because when it comes down to it, that's what we have to do, right? I mean, sometimes there are families out there, Pauly, that, you know, do I buy my child a new bag for school, or is the bag from last year still good? You know, do I have to choose between buying a loaf of bread versus gassing the car? You know, see, these are things that everyday Guamanians go through. and there is a major disconnect with, our leaders and everything, thinking that everything's hunky dory. I mean, case in point would be Senator Jess Lahan, right? I mean, there's what he's basically calling for the resignation, and he's holding the board's feet to the fire. Mm-hmm. Like, look, these are the people you hire. You need to get rid of them. And speaking about President Regine and her staff, because the return on investment on the $10 million is there's nothing, and you guys basically said, hey, it's a for sure thing, but I hate to say it to the legislature, it's at risk investment pretty much.
Yeah, but there's so many other variables, right, as to why it's tough, but so many things have happened. The war in Iran, the typhoons, the earthquakes in Japan, the yen is super weak. Mm-hmm. It can't all be on the president, Regine Bisco Lee. Yeah. And also, it's a gamble that you all took, not just Regine Bisco Lee. Mm-hmm. So if you're going to put some accountability on her because the $10 million seed incentive didn't work out the way we hoped, and so now she needs to be fired. You also need to take accountability because you agreed to it.
That, and then you also got to look at the flights that have been canceled, the routes and everything. So all of that is key ingredients to having a crappy cake. You know?
So it's I don't think we should give another $10 million for seed incentives. But it can't all be on Regine, right? Definitely not because of how terrible tourism is going, because there are so many things out of our control.
True.
So much. Mm-hmm. And it's competitive right now.
It is.
Now, GVB should be held accountable, but you can't hold somebody accountable for weak yen. Mm. That's out of our control.
Or airlines canceling flights.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. No, I see it. I see both sides. And you're right. Everybody, this is not a Regine or a GVB thing. This is a Guam thing.
We all have to take this seriously and work together.
Because we already know that if it was successful, everybody's going to be like,
because
hey,
I agree with GVB's report that tourism works. Mm-hmm. I agree how much tourism has brought taxes into the island for us to have police officers and firefighters and teachers, right? I agree that tourism creates jobs, but it's not also at the same time we can't all blame President Regine Bisco Lee for the failures of the seed incentives. You can't take all the credit either for all of that.
No,
because you can also argue that with the amount of passengers that have shown up, they were gonna show up.
Yeah. Well, again, in the legislature and even in Senator Jess Lahan's defense, right? Seed incentives, and then promotions of Guam. I mean, we just go back to when they had the oversight hearing, where Vice Speaker Tony asked one of the staffers, what's her name, Ina Carrillo, have you guys thought about...
Oh, she's not just a staffer, she's the director of destination management.
Okay, even better, right? To my point, it's like, look, we know this is where America's Day begins. We know America's presence is here in the United States. We are a part of it. Mm-hmm. What are we doing for the 250th birthday? Nothing. Okay, so so it's like, okay, we give you this $10 million to bring people in, and here you have an event that is the biggest thing. All eyes watching America, and this is where America's Day begins, and nothing. We have nothing.
Boy,
to
it might not have even worked either, because again, out of our control, a typhoon rolled in the weekend before July 4th.
I get it. And all and all that in the mix.
So again, it's a gamble, and so all people have to take accountability over the decisions we made as a whole.
Yeah.
Regine Bisco-Lee didn't just take $10 million from the general fund and went and did the tax incentives.
No.
It was all agreed upon.
Yeah, but you got to you got to think about the trips to Vegas, the trips to DC, and all of that, and then our main source market is within the the
I
Asian
think
community.
that's the administration that said, "Hey, GVB, can you take on the responsibility to go and participate at the Great American Bash over in DC?" And so that was the role that they took, and so they had a tent there.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I don't hate it, but also you can't also at the same time take credit for, oh, look at how many people showed up to our booths. That's success.
Yeah.
You can't measure it like that. You have to return on investment, how many people showed up to your booths, and then how many after the fact went and bought a ticket to come to Guam.
And you see,
and I haven't seen those numbers.
Yeah, and so that, I guess that's the thing that the legislature is trying to point out. Like, look, everything that you're doing, promoting Guam and everything, after we've given you this, it's like, okay, give us the car keys. We gave you the car keys, but the direction you're taking is not the direction that is that GVB should be taking, because you're promoting Guam in a totally different area that we know people would not come from. I mean, people from the United States either come for family, or military, or school, or open a business. They're not here to the fun and sun pretty much for Guam. That's all in the Asian market, and so I don't know. I mean, it's hard for me to gauge, because I do understand where Regine and GVB is coming from, but at the same time, I do understand where the legislature is coming from. Maybe it's a little bit too extreme. That
It is too extreme.
Yeah, Senator
I
Jess,
guess, in my opinion, that's way too extreme.
Yeah, asking for her resignation, and everybody, at GVB, get terminated, right? But at the same time, it was an extreme price of $10 million to ask, considering it was said during that time that they asked, guys, this is $10 million.
It's just not fair, though. It really isn't fair, because then you should have said it then.
Yeah.
All right, if this doesn't work out, you quit your job, right?
Oh,
you resign?
I would have.
That's unfair.
No, but I probably would have put the caveat right on that. If this doesn't
No,
work.
you all decided. The legislature included. And not all the senators even voted on that.
Yeah.
But guess who did? Senator Jesse Lujan did.
Yeah, because he
Right?
had full faith and confidence.
Sure.
Right?
And so you got to take accountability for it, and not just be like, oh, you failed, and now you should resign.
Yeah.
Or now, board, you should take her out.
Yeah.
Right? No. I'm okay with not giving the another $10 million.
Yeah.
I don't think the people of Guam have the appetite for that, especially
We can't stomach it right
especially when Child Care Development Fund is short $7 million now for how many more fiscal years? Every year we're going to have to subsidize that.
No,
and then the airport is looking for the bailout. And that's what the conversation was this morning and into this afternoon. And they're looking at 17.6. And there are so many other things happening, right? I mean, we need to figure out what is happening with SIFA, the uncertainties of the Science is Fun and Awesome
the move to GW.
school. And so moving them into a public school, and my goodness, if you were there, I was unable to, but I was told that there were some stories, some teachers there sharing the reality. A ESL teacher was told that she's going to have to, after she spent thousands of dollars on her classroom, was told she now has to relocate to a laundry room.
Hey, yo, peace out, lady. That really sucks, because these teachers come out of pocket to have a good year.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I don't think we have the appetite. However, I agree with GVB. Tourism is a big part. It is the number one industry.
Mm-hmm.
And so we all have to tackle this together.
Indeed.
And not be at each other's necks and threaten people's jobs.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody's on the line?
Yes, we got a caller in line one.
Off a day, Wave 105, you're on the air.
Half a day,
Hey.
Pauly.
Hey, what's up, Attorney Pete?
Viva Wetness Day.
Viva Wetkilis.
Wet day.
No, I'm listening to you, and if we're going to hold people accountable, why hasn't anyone called for the resignation of the Attorney General for all the snafus and the lack of service that he's providing? He's won no corruption cases. He's lost all his civil cases against the governor and everybody else. And we're just really in a quagmire.
Well, we're about to decide in a couple more months, right? Well,
right,
the
but
people will
what I'm
decide.
saying is, the legislature calling for somebody's resignation, they should have called for his resignation ever since. But anyways, what I was thinking about calling earlier before, listening to the conversation was just over the last couple of legislatures, I've been looking at them more than normally, and I really think they ought to make it so that they can't have any riders or we can't do anything in the budget bill that is not budget related.
I agree.
Because that's where
it gets messy. It gets messy.
Well, that's where the opportunities are for special interests, and that's how a lot of things get
snuck in there,
all screwed up. You're talking about $10 million, and then that was in a supplemental, I guess, appropriation. Look, where's our priorities? Look at our chief medical examiner's office. The budget is less than $1 million, and that is a very critical office.
Absolutely.
And we can pay anyone quadruple the salary that the CME is getting, but if they come and like you said, people working in a laundry room or something like that, that's really not gonna. No wonder why the last two chief medical examiners didn't last more than 2 years here.
Yeah.
So we get our priorities straight.
They're not given
with
the
all
proper
this money,
resources.
all this so-called additional revenue. It's not excess, but it's more revenue than normal.
Sure.
Why haven't we given any to the CME to fix what needs to be fixed? It's such a critical thing. There's so many people that are affected by the chief medical examiner's office. And who is the head of the postmortem commission?
The AG.
It's the AG, right? But the AG wants to blame the governor. I don't think it's the governor's fault. The AG should have been fighting for that issue down at the legislature, but instead he's more going down there to ask for special dispensation and exceptions to all the civil service rules so that he can rule his little kingdom like the tyrant that he is.
Well, I remember when he was advocating with medical officer Jeffrey Nine, Dr. Nine, right, to help with to allow the secretary that was there or administrator there to also be like a special investigator, right? And I think that worked out. I think
they need their own death investigators. They need their own vehicles. They need. There's just a ton of need down there, and it's just sad that nobody's paying attention to it, and especially the head of the commission, which is by default is the Attorney General. It's just another one of the scores of balls that he's dropped.
Well, and again, we have to look at the legislature who appropriates money to these agencies.
Right, but if you don't have someone like the AG fighting for it, I mean, he's fought for everything else. They've given him everything he wanted, right? But this is not a priority to him, I guess. Just like the last couple of days, we've had some very serious cases dismissed. The people of Guam need to wake up and smell the coffee. We're suffering because of the ineptitude and incompetence of the Attorney General.
Well, I mean, I think a number of people have stepped up, including yourself, right, to take that office, right, and so.
Yeah. Well, anyways, that's kind of what I wanted to say. But yeah, the other issue that I started off with was we really need to look at other places like Washington that, they have certain rules with their legislation. They can't have writers. Every law can only have one subject matter, right? And you can't what they call log rolling, right? You can't log roll. That's a rule over there, meaning you're not allowed to. I heard you guys talking about it before. Senators, they say, hey, you support my bill, I'll support your bill. That's strictly not allowed. Every issue has to pass on its own merits, not based on, okay, you don't like my bill, but you'll vote for it because I'll vote for your bill. That's morally corrupt, I think. And that's why Washington doesn't allow that.
Well, you say corrupt, but people will say it's a compromise.
Well, I don't mean corrupt in the corruption sense, but morally, it's morally
questionable,
reprehensible.
Yeah.
Right. It needs to stand on its own merits. I mean, I'm going to vote for it because I believe that this bill is for the right people, not because I'm
because
trying
I need
to
your
win.
support.
Yeah, because I'm trying to win your vote for my bill that's coming up. I agree, but the reality is when you are trying to extend an olive branch, those conversations do come up, and you are
right.
debating.
But if you make it prohibited, right, then everything has to pass on its own merits. When you allow a system like we have today, then that allows for the horse trading, and that's not good for the public.
Well, that's also happening in Congress and the Senate because we hear them talking about those things as well.
Yes, that happens, right. But I'm saying, look at Washington State. They have a strict no log rolling policy when it comes to legislation. There's a saying that you don't want to see how the sausage is made, right? Well, change how you make sausage. Make it more.
So are you saying there's a law? You know how how commission members can't talk to each other unless it's at the meeting? Are you saying that?
Correct. That's the open government concept, right?
So
you cannot have secret meetings.
Yeah.
If it's good for commissions, why can't it be good for the legislature?
I agree, and so we have to pretty much blow up the whole system. And so part of the system is those caucuses, right? That happen in
that's
secret.
The hard pill to swallow.
Yes.
Just because we've been doing something for decades doesn't mean.
Yeah. And so I think if we continue to have that conversation and we want to stop the system, while the system is already it already benefits the Democrat Party and the Republican Party. And just look at the way the whole makeup is. When you even see the Guam Election Commission, you have 3 Republican representatives and 3 Democrat. And guess you only have 1 independent, and that independent can't be on the commission unless the 6 vote for that person. So the whole system is flawed. And so if we want to get rid of caucuses and we want to get rid of all of these deals happening behind closed doors and these markup sessions that don't get put on camera, then we have to blow up the whole system. And I don't think because we're so close and married to our Democrat Party and the Republican Party, that's going to be really tough to do. But I'm on board with you, Pete. We just got to get more people to get on board with that.
Right. There's just too many people that benefit from the current system, benefit not in a positive way for the people, but they benefit from this kind of closed system that we have.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, that's what the main issue is right now, right? In this upcoming election. It's the anti-corruption, the openness, transparency. Those are the issues. So let's vote for people who we think are gonna affect that change, and then let's hold them accountable to it.
I agree.
We got
All righty,
Thanks,
Pauly.
Attorney
Thanks
Pete.
for the
No, thank you.
Thanks for taking the call, but it's just we really need to have a culture shift, a culture change in the way we run our government. When we were a small government with a small budget, it was, I guess, more acceptable or more palatable to people. But now we're dealing with huge sums of money, and there are just our old way of doing things is just not conducive to handling this type of budget.
Yeah.
Indeed. We got you, brother.
All right, Attorney Pete.
Thanks,
Talk to you
brother.
soon. All
You
right.
Be safe.
2:46 in the afternoon. You want to take this break?
Yeah, let's
All right.
do that.
This is Wave 105. Thanks for hanging out with us. This is the bright side, even though it's not so bright outside.
Introducing the all-new Subway Wraps. Now you can make any footlong a wrap. Light, delicious, and satisfying without weighing you down. Subway Wraps make fueling your day easier than ever with bold flavors and fresh ingredients. Try the cheesy garlic steak wrap today. Subway. Eat fresh, feel good.
As Guam recovers from Super Typhoon Bavi, GTA is here to help you stay connected and keep you moving. For a limited time, get $400 off any new premium smartphone with eligible plans. Or bring your own phone to GTA and receive up to $300 in account credits. To support your recovery, you'll also receive a free $100 76 fuel gas card. Terms and conditions apply. Visit any GTA retail store today. GTA, we start with you.
Need a truck that works as hard as you do? Then head to Triple J Ford's Big Deals on Big Wheels sales event. For a limited time, score prices below dealer cost and drive home America's best-selling truck for 49 years. The legendary Ford F-150 starting at just $39,995. Choose from the rugged XL, stylish STX, or well-equipped XLT. All backed by the strength, capability, and innovation only Ford delivers. But don't wait. All stock must go. Visit Triple J Ford in Upper Tumont or get pre-approved and shop online at triplejguam.com. Triple J Ford, customers first.
Half a day, I'm Callan Perez and I'm running for senator. Service to our island has shaped my life, from community advocacy and substance abuse recovery to supporting sustainable agriculture. Inspired by my parents, Dr. Perez and Dr. Erickson, I remain committed to serving the people of Guam. I'm Callan Perez and I approve this message.
Explore, snap, and share for a chance to win a round-trip ticket to Taiwan. Join the Guam photo hunt and visit iconic landmarks and hidden gems island-wide. The more locations you photograph, the more chances you have to win exciting prizes. Learn more and submit to win online at visitguam.com/photo hunt. Terms and conditions apply. Explore, snap, and rediscover Guam. Brought to you by the Guam Visitors Bureau.
At Bank of Hawaii, we want to help make the goals you're saving for possible. Great rates are possible because you'll earn up to 5 times the national average on savings when you make a qualifying deposit of $25,000 from another bank. And flexibility is possible because you can access your savings anytime and still earn one of our highest rates.
Anything's possible.
Open a Bank Ohana savings special today and reach your possible. Rates based on the FDIC's national deposit rates. Terms and conditions apply. Visit boh.com/savings special.
With decades experience in Guam and the region, Take Care members have access to the largest offering of free fitness classes and health education programs. Membership also includes the high-quality credentialed network of on- and off-island healthcare providers and the one-stop FHP Health Center and Urgent Care. Ask for Take Care. Call 671-647-3526. Go to takecareasia.com for more information. Take Care. Our island, your health plan.
Feeling good, getting things done. Wave 105 FM.
Welcome back to the show, 2:48 in the afternoon. Here's the number, 671-922-1051, or to give us a call. Be a part of this discussion. Talk to this gentleman right here, Mr. Pauly Suba. Buenas and half a day.
GPD just put out some releases here. I only had the opportunity to look at it now. GPD continues investigations into a fatal auto object crash on August 1st that claimed the lives of one adult male and 2 adult females.
Okay.
One adult female remains in critical condition. The crash occurred around 5:17 a.m. along Route 4A in Talifofu. The names of the victims have not been released pending the notification of kin. This is the island's 6th fatal traffic crash in 2026. I have heard the names in public, right? And so it has been shared, but we'll hold on to it until it's officially announced.
Released.
But from my understanding, this is a family, and it is very heartbreaking. The vehicle involved in the crash was traveling eastbound on Route 4A in Talifofu when it ran off the roadway, colliding with the utility pole. The case remains open and has been forwarded to the Guam Highway Patrol Division for follow-ups. More information will be provided as soon as it becomes available. In a separate update, the Guam Police Department is asking the community for help in getting information on the auto e-bike crash that occurred around 11:22 p.m. on August 1st on Route 16 by the post office in Barragata. One adult male was transported to GRMC. The vehicle involved in the crash fled the scene.
Wow.
Anyone with information about the incident is urged to call GPD Dispatch at 671-475-8615 through 17, or they may leave information anonymously on the GuamCrimeStoppers.com website. Once again, if you have any information about the incident that occurred at 11:22 p.m. on August 1st on Route 16 by the post office in Barragata, please contact GPD Dispatch at 671-475-8615. You can also leave information anonymously on GuamCrimeStoppers.com. Again, the GPD is asking the community for help in getting information on the auto e-bike crash that occurred. One adult male was transported to GRMC, and the vehicle involved in the crash fled the scene. The other, like I was sharing earlier, before we took the break, I kind of want to wait till we get into a new hour to really unpack what was talked about this morning when it comes to the needs of the airport.
Okay.
But there's also what we can break down right now is the Guam Memorial Hospital's fiscal year 2025 audit. And so the audit shows that GMH is making financial progress, but it still has a long way to go before it's financially stable, right? And so that's always going to be something too.
Wait, which one is this?
GMH's audit.
Oh, okay.
For fiscal year 2025.
When is it supposed to come out?
It came out already.
Oh, it did?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
GMH's financial position improved by $13.8 million compared to the previous year. The
That's
hospital also increased its total assets by $5.8 million. Operating expenses were reduced by $11.7 million, meaning GMH spent less money than it did the year before. And so the independent auditors say that GMH's financial statements were fairly presented and followed U.S. accounting standards. And so they still owe more than it owns, though. So GMH still has a negative net position of nearly $295 million.
Ouch.
The hospital's debts and obligations are still much larger than its assets. And it's a public hospital. You know, they cannot turn anyone away. So that will always be an issue for the hospital.
Now, if you break it down, right? So people, the medically indigent, the one that can't afford insurance, they're on the Medicaid, Medicare program, right? And so when they go in, when you do the numbers, right? Like, for instance, I don't have medical insurance. So if I was to go to GMH and I was there for about a week,
you're going to have to pay out of pocket.
I'm going to have to pay out of pocket. And I can't pay what the enormous amount of the hospital stay, right? And so let's say I was under Medicare. Medicare can only take care of a certain percentage of my my stay at GMH. And then I would have to of course, come in and pay out of pocket. But there are some people that just don't have anything, but they're on Medicaid, so Medicare. So they would pay. Medicare will pay if it's $1 that you owe GMH. Medicare will probably take care of 30 cents, and you would have to come up with the 70 cents. To break it down and make it easy, right? But that's and then now GMH is in the red for 70 cents, and that builds up with different patients over the years and years and years, and you're never going to coop up that loss in terms of, because there's nothing to be had,
right?
And so that is why when you talk about 200 some million, a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, GMH is not doing their job, what's going on, but
there are so many factors, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So what has helped GMH, according to the audit, again, is the $22.6 million that was infused by the government of Guam, right? To assist, then the $10.1 million in federal funding, and then $11 million in lower operating expenses. And so they also spent less on employee pensions, professional support services, and administrative support. So the hospital's financial obligations also went down. Current liabilities dropped by $9.1 million. The total liabilities fell by $81.1 million from $437 to $356.7. Much of this happened because GMH repaid money it had borrowed from DOA to help cover cash flow problems. By the end of fiscal year 2025, though, it still owed DOA about $6.8 million. And so, again, like we were just talking about, right, and how you eloquently shared, the GMH still has a collecting payments problem. GMH only collects about 33 cents for every dollar it bills self-pay patients.
Exactly. Yeah. Trust me, I did the research.
Yes. Yeah. So you're on it. Many uninsured patients simply cannot afford to pay their medical bills. Self-pay patients were billed about $30 million per year. Much of that money is never collected. Total billings fell from $329 to $321.8 million. And money actually collected dropped even more, from $108.5 million to $107.5 million.
Yeah.
The tax refund garnishment collected very little. I thought, that is a way to assist. However, as of September 30, 2025, $77.5 million in unpaid patient accounts had been sent to DOA and, Department of Revenue and Taxation. Only $3.2 million
was collected,
had actually been recovered through tax refund garnishments. Yeah.
Well, and then you have the TEFRA deal that's going on, and then rural areas, and you only have like certain beds where the Centers for Medicare. Guam does not qualify because we don't label. I mean, we're not looked at as rural or whatever. So this is where our Congress representative and our chairman on health, which is for Senator Sabrina Salas-Mantanani, they need to work together. And they need to hit that nail right on the head and tell them, hey guys, it's a different baby, because not only are we taking care of our local people, but our brothers and sisters from the FSM, they're also on this. That's part of your COFA agreement.
Yeah.
And so the resources are being depleted, because we can take care, of our own. When you look at the numbers, we can actually take care of people here in Guam, that live here in Guam, that are from here in Guam. But now you have our brothers and sisters from the FSM that are coming in and utilizing the facility, utilizing the services and everything, and we're still getting paid 30 cents on the dollar. So you're already dealing with this one group, and we can't turn away our brothers and sisters from the FSM, because that's part of the COFA agreement. And then literally they're human too, and that Hippocratical oath we take care of everybody. We can't turn away anyone. So that's fine and everything. But the federal government, because we had nothing, we were not even invited, to this COFA agreement and everything. Guam hosted it. The party was here, but they didn't even open the door for us. And so, to at least sit down and talk with them like, hey, look, they're coming in for our schools. They're coming in for, for education, healthcare, and all the good stuff. But you guys are not giving us the finances to see this through with the agreement that the U.S. government made with the FSM government. So that is where the nail has to be hit right on the head. And I'm hoping that Senator Sabrina Salas-Mantanani and our congressmen or congresswomen after November, whoever wins, work together on this and go to Washington and fight for this particular issue right now, because GMH is always going to be $200 million in the red.
Yeah, and otherwise we're going to continue to have to use taxpayer money to financially support the hospital every year.
Every year. And that's why I can't go to the movie theaters with you, Pauly.
Fair enough. I'll tell you how it ends.
Yes. I'll watch it at home.
3:01 in the afternoon, we'll take the break.
Yes.
KGUM FM in Dededo, Guam.
AP News, I'm Mike Hempin. AP correspondent Ed Donahue reports on an investigation into a salmonella outbreak.
Chipotle Mexican Grill says it is removing jalapenos from some of its restaurants. Jalapenos could potentially be tied to a salmonella outbreak. The Minnesota Department of Health confirmed an outbreak there is tied to several Mexican-style quick-service restaurants, and jalapenos are the suspected source. Officials identified 110 cases in Minnesota, with Chipotle involved in most. Chipotle says it pulled the jalapenos out of an abundance of caution and replaced them with products from a different grower in all locations where a previous common lot had been distributed. Symptoms of salmonella poisoning include diarrhea, fever, severe vomiting, dehydration, and stomach cramps. Most people who get sick recover within a week, but infections can be more severe in young children, older adults, and people with weakened immune systems. I'm Ed Donahue.
Authorities say they have arrested a man who was walking the grounds and appeared to be monitoring security planning at President Trump's California golf course 2 days ahead of the president's visit. The Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department says the man was taking photos and video and had a 16-round magazine with ammunition in his pocket. Longtime incumbent U.S. Representative Don Beyer, a Democrat seeking his 7th term in Congress, has defeated 4 challengers to win his party's nomination in Northern Virginia's 8th District. Tom Perriello wins the Democratic nomination for the U.S. House in Virginia's 5th Congressional District. The AP's Lisa Dwyer has the latest jobs numbers.
The Labor Department says that employers posted 7.36 million vacancies in June, down from 7.5 million in May, but still in line with expectations.
This is AP News. A big day on Wall Street, as we hear from AP correspondent Seth Sutel.
I'm Seth Sutel, and this is the AP Markets Report. Stocks rallied to records on Wall Street as companies kept piling up profits and as oil prices fell. The S&P 500 jumped 1.8% Tuesday. The index beat the all-time high it set in early June. The Dow added 907 points, that's about 1.7%. The Dow had set its own record the day before. The Nasdaq Composite jumped 2.6%. Palantir Technologies and Caterpillar helped lead the way after becoming the latest companies to deliver surprisingly strong profits for the spring. Palantir soared 29.5%. Caterpillar rose 5.6%. Brent crude fell below $80 a barrel. Treasury yields eased in the bond market. The yield on the 10-year Treasury fell to 4.62%. Seth Sutel, New York.
More news available at apnews.com. I'm Mike Hempin, AP News.
You're listening to KGUM-FM Dededo, Wave 105.1 FM, the Talk of Guam, a proud Glimpses media radio station.
Need a truck that works as hard as you do? Then head to Triple J Ford's Big Deals on Big Wheels sales event. For a limited time, score prices below dealer cost and drive home America's best-selling truck for 49 years. The legendary Ford F-150 starting at just $39,995. Choose from the rugged XL, stylish STX, or well-equipped XLT. All backed by the strength, capability, and innovation only Ford delivers. But don't wait. All stock must go. Visit Triple J Ford in Upper Tumon or get pre-approved and shop online at triplejguam.com. Triple J Ford, customers first.
Eat fresh in just a few clicks. Order online at subwaypacific.com for pickup or delivery. Online ordering at subwaypacific.com is powered by Good to Go. We deliver. At Subway, you gotta refresh to be fresh.
As Guam recovers from Super Typhoon Bavi, GTA is here to help you stay connected and keep you moving. For a limited time, get $400 off any new premium smartphone with eligible plans. Or bring your own phone to GTA and receive up to $300 in account credits. To support your recovery, you'll also receive a free $100 76 fuel gas card. Terms and conditions apply. Visit any GTA retail store today. GTA, we start with you.
Explore, snap, and share for a chance to win a round-trip ticket to Taiwan. Join the Guam photo hunt and visit iconic landmarks and hidden gems island-wide. The more locations you photograph, the more chances you have to win exciting prizes. Learn more and submit to win online at visitguam.com/photo hunt. Terms and conditions apply. Explore, snap, and rediscover Guam. Brought to you by the Guam Visitors Bureau.
At Bank of Hawaii, we want to help make the goals you're saving for possible. Great rates are possible because you'll earn up to 5 times the national average on savings when you make a qualifying deposit of $25,000 from another bank. And flexibility is possible because you can access your savings anytime and still earn one of our highest rates.
Anything's possible.
Open a Bank Ohana savings special today and reach your possible. Rates based on the FDIC's national deposit rates. Terms and conditions apply. Visit boh.com/savings special.
Half a day, I'm Callan Perez and I'm running for senator. Service to our island has shaped my life, from community advocacy and substance abuse recovery to supporting sustainable agriculture. Inspired by my parents, Dr. Perez and Dr. Erickson, I remain committed to serving the people of Guam. I'm Callan Perez and I approve this message.
With decades experience in Guam and the region, Take Care members have access to the largest offering of free fitness classes and health education programs. Membership also includes the high-quality credentialed network of on- and off-island healthcare providers and the one-stop FHB Health Center and urgent care. Ask for Take Care. Call 671-647-3526. Go to takecareasia.com for more information. Take Care. Our island, your health plan.
KGUM-FM, Dedido, the talk of Guam. This is Wave 105.1 FM, a Glimpses media radio station.
Ooh, que suave, que suave.
To the show, 3:07 in the afternoon. This is the Bright Side right here on Wave 105. We are KGUM FM, Dedido, Guam. Let's send it back to Mr. Pauly. Suba, buenas.
Thanks for hanging out with us on this Wednesday afternoon. Hopefully you're staying dry, right? We want to thank our sponsors. At Subway, you got to refresh to be fresh. Micropack, heading off island, capture every moment with cameras and memory cards from Micropack. GTA, we start with you. Triple J, it's big deals on big wheels at Triple J Ford. Save thousands off retail and drive home a new Ford One F-150 starting at just $39,995. Visit Triple J Ford today. Customers first. And Chili's Grill and Bar. Chili's, more life, great food, and memories. happen here. 671-922-1051 or 1052. We are online, thewave105.com, as well as our YouTube channel, Wave 105.1 FM Guam. So, again, the legislature resumed their special session, this time to start the discussions on giving the airport $17.65 million. So, they solidified it. However, at some point, the executive manager, JQ, did say that the airport actually needs more money. However, the ask is 17.6 for the airport. The money is urgently needed, according to the airport, to avoid raising airline fees. Also to protect the existing flights and remain in compliance with its bond obligations. And so the proposed $17.65 million has two parts. The $9.2 million for unpaid aviation fuel taxes, which the fuel suppliers collected aviation fuel taxes and then paid them to the government of Guam. Under federal rules, a portion of those taxes was supposed to be transferred to the airport. And the government did not transfer approximately $9.2 million collected between 2018 and 2023. And so that also should be looked into if you're trying to hold people accountable and people need to be fired. Why did that happen? Why did $9.25 million not get transferred to the airport between 2018 and 2023? They didn't really dive into that part as much. So the airport says that this is not a new subsidy. It is money the government already owes the airport, at least the $9.25 million. If Guam pays the entire amount now, it may avoid interest and penalties. If the government pays it over several years, then Guam could owe an additional $2 million to $3 million in interest. And I remember when they were talking about this even like months ago, maybe even a year ago, they were very grateful that the FAA, who has oversight over the airport, is not putting interest on it. However, if we continue to not pay this, then there could eventually be interest. And so that's when they started talking about it even more so. The remaining money, which is $8.4 million, would help the airport cover lost revenue and reduce the amount that it must charge airlines. And so the airport executives say passenger traffic has remained much lower than expected, leaving it with a projected fiscal year 2026 revenue shortfall of approximately $10.3 million to $12.5 million. The airport expects about $1.2 million for departing passengers during fiscal year 2026. And so it now expects only around $1 million and possibly slightly more or less. It's a roundabout. The airport could be short by roughly 200,000 to 300,000 passengers. Now, there are fewer flights and passengers, right? So that means less revenue. And so less revenue from the airline fees, landing fees, terminal charges, restaurants and retail stores, car rentals, parking and property leases. The airport expected to collect about $43.8 million from airline rents and fees in fiscal year 2026. It now estimates it may collect only about 36.4. So that's a difference of $7.4 million. So a lot was being said by Daphne Shimizu, who is like the finance officer over at the airport, right? And so The officials say the main problem is not that operating expenses suddenly just exploded, right? They say the main problem is that passenger revenue did not recover as expected. And that, again, is these things are out of our control. We make these projections and they don't come to fruition for a number of reasons. The typhoons, the yen is extremely low. Japan is asking President Trump to help in this way, to help strengthen the yen. Because of the Iran war, the oil prices have gone up. The yen is weak. However, they purchase their oil. Japan purchases their oil with the U.S. dollar. So that hurts their economy because they're not paying yen. They're paying U.S. dollar prices. And so when it comes to the airport, they say the main problem is, again, that passenger revenue did not recover as expected. And so the airport's first fiscal year 2027 operating budget proposed increasing spending from $57.1 million to now $60.2 million for fiscal year 2027. And so the legislature is asking why the airport would increase spending while asking the public for assistance. And so they respond that the $60.2 million figure was only the first draft. And so they have already identified nearly $3 million in reductions, bringing the proposal closer to $57 million, and are still looking for more cuts. And so Daphne explained what they've already cut. They've already limited hiring. They've left positions vacant. They've held back parts of department budgets. They reduce power consumption. They temporarily close gates that are not being used. They reduce cleaning and maintenance expenses. They've delayed some repairs and purchases. They reviewed vendor contracts and services. The airport has approximately 217 filled positions. However, the budget authorizes more positions. So they estimate that vacant positions have saved more than $1 million. They also say that holding back portions of divisional budgets have saved them about $600,000. However, the legislature is still asking for a complete breakdown, especially Speaker Frank, to show exactly what has been cut and what else could be reduced. And so even with fewer flights, the airport still has to, they're explaining their operation. They still have to maintain the runways. They still have to maintain security, fire and emergency services, air conditioning, elevators and escalators, customs and passenger processing areas, lighting and electricity, federal safety requirements, and bond payments. And so the airport was repeatedly warning that delaying repairs to their facilities may create larger and more expensive problems later. And even it was asked, what happens if the legislature rejects the funding? Then the airport's agreements with airlines that allow it to increase the rates when revenue is not enough to cover the expenses and the bond payments. And so the airlines wrote letters saying that, advocating to keep the prices where they are right now. Again, it's a completely it's completely competitive too. And we've already seen airlines just leave regardless, right, with the current fees. So when it was Daphne Shimizu that read aloud what some of the airlines were saying, right? And so they submitted letters warning that major airport fee increases could make Guam routes too expensive. Korean Air estimates that its Guam operating costs could increase by more than 70%. And the airline warns that higher costs could increase ticket prices, reduce travel demand, and then force the airline to reduce flights. T-Way Air, in their letter, says a 130.2% increase in landing fees, a 45.7% increase in loading bridge fees, an increase in the airport's cost per departing passenger from approximately $34.62 to about $55.06. And so they're warning that it may have to reconsider how often it flies to Guam and how many seats it offers. Japan Airlines said its Guam route has already been unprofitable and performed poorly during fiscal years 2024 and 25, and the airline expects conditions to become even worse in fiscal year 2026. Japan Airlines says Japanese visitor demand remains weak because of the high fuel costs, other airline operating expenses, the weak Japanese yen, and travelers being highly sensitive to ticket prices. And so they're warning that the higher airport charges could make its Guam operation financially unstable. Jin Air says Guam is already considered one of the more expensive airports in the region. And so Jin Air is warning that higher fees could discourage airlines from keeping existing flights, adding more seats, and starting new routes. Air Busan said the proposed increases were excessive and far above normal inflation. The airline warns that the increases could make Guam's route less financially sustainable and force it to reconsider how many flights or seats it assigns to Guam. All of the airlines have asked the airport to reconsider, reduce, or gradually phase in the increases. And so it was interesting, right? I mean, obviously, Speaker Frank Blas Jr. Finished the round, and they're continuing the conversation with Senator Shanga Matauta. We just never got to that point because it's already 2 p.m. and we started the show. But they're still having the conversation, right? Director Lester Carlson also said that traditional refinancing is not currently a good option because of the airport's bonds are new and are not yet within the normal period when they can be refinanced for savings. Because that was a question too. It's like, can we just go borrow more money? And so he's warning that restructuring the debt under the current conditions could create negative savings, be viewed poorly by investors, and damage the airport's bond rating, and also increase future borrowing costs. And so he says that it would be difficult to rebuild the airport's credit rating once it's damaged, just as it is difficult to restore airline routes after they are lost. And that's something that just gets brought up a number of times. Even Speaker Blas is very aware that it is difficult. Senator Jesse said it too. It is very difficult. Once an airline pulls out, it is very hard for them to come right back. And so, or even say, hey, can you consider us? Can you continue to consider us when to come back? But then you're at the you're no longer on the priority list. And then when other things are becoming profitable, other airlines, other airports, they're probably not even going to consider again. So it's one of those things where they all understand the importance of keeping the flights that we have now, the airlines that we have now, and hopefully, trying to increase those. That was the whole conversation too. That's why I don't blame Regine Bisco Lee either when she said, you know what we can do? Because that was a partnership between them and the airport. They both understood what was happening. This could be a solution to incentivize these airlines to increase their seat capacity. It didn't work out. And again, because of all the other priorities that we're talking about, like Attorney Pete says, we need more resources, more support, more manpower over at the chief medical examiner's office. That's why I don't think people have the appetite to do it. But I don't blame them for trying. They're trying to find a way to make this work, right? Because that was also helping the airline stay. However, there are so many things at play, so many variables that are happening
all at once.
In Asia, right? And so I understand that they're even talking about marketing more in Malaysia. There are tens of millions of people there.
I mean, look.
But that's also going to be a risk.
Everybody, I mean, when something big like this happens, Pauly, two things can happen. If everything is positive, everybody's going to be jumping up for joy and sharing and basking in the success, right? And if something doesn't work,
everybody's stressing and looking for somebody to blame, right?
Exactly. And when you look at I understand where Senator Jesse is coming from, and I understand where Regine and the people, the management at the airport. But when on one hand you cannot hold somebody accountable, but then also be working on, visitor visas coming in from the Philippines, because that already tells me that there is a problem.
Yeah.
Because if there was no problem, you wouldn't be doing this thing, right, with the Filipino visa waiver visitors. And so I think everybody just needs to take a step back and reevaluate and let them and see where they're at, and then move in one step, in unison, pretty much. Like, look, I mean, right now, what's going on with this Filipino visa waiver, right? Look at what's going on.
And they're doing all of the heavy work, right?
Yeah.
They're actually creating this policy. They're identifying all the safeguards, them and the Philippine Immigration
so
Office,
that when
right?
the feds ask, what's this, what's that, what's, what about this,
They've
what about
already
that?
done the research.
It's already there. Just look at it, and we're answering your questions before you ask.
And so they're basically creating the structure, the policy as well, and then they just have to take it over to Congressman Moylan and others to approve this.
Well,
it's a hard sell, but I don't blame anybody for doing it.
Well,
but here's what if it fails? What are we going to tell Senator Jesse to also resign?
Yeah. Well, no. See, that's when I say you move in one step, in like one movement, the one Marianas approach. They got the Philippine government involved. They got the CNMI involved, and of course, the legislature with via Senator Jess and Congressman James Moylan. Everybody's singing the same tune. That's what has to happen with GVB, the airport, and maybe even the businesses. And just moving at that right now, from what I'm hearing now, is that the representative from the CNMI is already putting it in the bill. Now they're just waiting for the documents from Guam and the Philippines so they can all mesh it together, and she'll introduce the bill. And Congressman James Moylan is right in step on that too as well. So if it's successful, hey man, even more power, right, to us and everything. But when you look at the collective group that is coming together, they're even bringing the Philippine government. So okay, if that approach works, then let's bring in the Taiwan government. Let's bring in the Japanese government, and maybe even like Malaysian government, and do the same thing.
Well, they can come. They don't have those same issues though. Maybe China.
Yeah. Or
bring in China.
And then how's about bringing in the airlines, right? Because they're the ones that are leaving because they cannot afford to stay here. Okay, so why don't we all get together? We'll all go to Washington D.C. and start, clamoring down and state our case as to why you need to lift restrictions with the cabotage, why you need to, make it easier for competition to come to Guam as far as via airlines. All these things can happen. There's so many ways to skin this cat, and I keep saying that because really there is. And I think, when we look at how, when the legislature works together, when the governor works together with the legislature, AG, and even the congressional representative, great things can happen. But when everybody wants to one-up on gamesmanship and point fingers and everything, hey, enough of that.
Even the technology has hurt us, right? Because, when you think about refueling, we were a hub to refuel for these airlines, for flights. But you can go all the way. You can skip even Hawaii and go all the way to the continental U.S. from Japan. You can. So you don't need to refuel here in Guam. That part is a way where they save money. It's just, we're flying Japan to Seattle. Japan to, I think there's even a flight Japan to Houston. So there's no real reason to, unless there's a demand. And so even when we incentivize the airlines to increase their seat capacity, they just took the money. Passengers weren't getting on the flights and coming here because there's no demand. Without the demand, we're in trouble, and the airport will continue to miss their operation, to be short on their operations, on their finances. And that's what Speaker was talking about at the very end. He says everything depends on passenger traffic. Everything. And so the facility, is it too big? That's something that we should have a conversation on, because it wasn't always that big before.
But when you think
it was over on the other side, right?
Yeah. Well, when you think of airport, right? You know that you cannot just think about what's going on today. And I've spoke to
I agree.
I
agree, but the technology has changed too, and flights don't unless we create a demand here. These planes and these flights are gonna fly over us.
Yeah, and well, you see, and I've spoke to former, he's my Uncle Jess Torres, former general manager for the Guam airport at the time, and I actually am like, man, why do you guys need all this space? And this was during the where the families were getting their original land, the original landowners in Teason and everything. I'm like, why can't you give it,
safety buffer?
Yeah, the safety buffers. And then he goes, you got to think that technology, what's going on now is probably gonna be improved, 10 years, 20 years down the line. And and when you think of in airport terms, it's all about expanding.
Only if there's a demand.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. But when they say,
because I would say don't expand unless there's a demand.
Well, you see,
why did we expand from the smaller airport to what we got now? Because there was a demand.
Because there's bigger planes, and the wear and tear on the tarmac and everything. And so you got to think, okay, we're getting how many with these jets pretty much that can hold capacity of 300, 200 and everything. Maybe in 10 years it's probably going to be 400. And that's going to be a bigger airplane, and that's going to be a bit more wear.
But if we don't have 400 people on that flight, the 400 passenger plane ain't coming.
But here's
they'll
the thing.
keep only the 250.
But the beauty of it is this: we also want the opportunity, more to say, can you guys take on 400 passengers on a plane? Yeah, we can.
We can, but if they're not buying the ticket, they're not going to put the flight here.
Well, you got to,
because every airport is like inventory, and so they only have so many planes.
Yeah.
Right? And so where do we put our planes? We got to put our planes where there's a demand. And so, again, like if you can fly from Japan all the way to California, all the way to Washington, and there's a demand there, they're skipping us.
Yeah.
They're not skipping Hawaii because there's a demand in Hawaii.
Exactly. But how do we create the demand? Well, you know, I know when we had Senator Jess here a couple weeks ago.
He said Guam is tired.
Yeah.
We really got to do a better job.
But look at what he did, where he was saying, okay, look, we can have, you know, airlines come in here and have, you know, maintenance on the planes. We just got to build the hangars and everything. And there were a couple senators down there that didn't want to go with this. No, why are we going to give them 50 years? And we're like, well, they're going to, you know, they're going to slam in
the mechanics
$150 million.
They'll be repairing. Yeah. They'll be repairing these planes here.
So that is the demand. So you know, I mean, you know, So that can happen, but they were against his $50 million, his bill that required.
I'm not talking about losing property.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the building itself.
Yeah.
Is the building too big? I'm not saying shrink. I'm not saying shrink the space of the airport.
I don't think so.
The property, the whole property, because they can create hangars. I think it's smart what they're doing. Guam Auto Spot's over there in that one space, using it as a parking lot.
Yeah, I mean,
all of the new cars, you can see it off of Route 8.
You see, that's what I'm saying.
That's what they're doing.
Look at it. Guam Auto Spot is renting out that spot for like what, $20,000 a month, I believe.
Something like that. They said it early on in the hearing this morning.
Yeah. So when you take that into account, that right there is pretty much what the airport wants to do. Let's build,
smart.
Let's you know, and let's make money elsewhere aside from landing fees and all that stuff, right? With airports, I mean, with the airlines. So when you do that, when he wanted to build a hangar, a repair for airplanes coming in, because it's much cheaper, right, to do it here than to do it in America. You know, and so when you think about that, and then you have all these senators, oh no, 50-year lease, no, we can't do that. I'm like, okay, why not? Maybe you give them a 15-year lease or a 5-year lease. It ain't going to work, because if I'm going to spend $1 million and drop it here in the economy of Guam, and I'm going to hire people left or right, then I need a return on investment.
Yeah.
You know, I want to know that my business is going to continue for 50 years and maybe even beyond that. Because nobody in their right mind, you know, any investor, even a billionaire that has money to burn, is going to like put $100 million in this economy for 5 years.
Well, maybe in the meantime, we put SIFA at the airport.
If they can rent it out, I have no problem with that.
Maybe.
So
there you go.
No, but
that's how we solve some of these issues here.
So
SIFA doesn't have a place, and
the
airport right now is too large. Put SIFA in there
at $20,000 a month to utilize that space in the airport, right? Just to put the cars there. Times that by 12, that's like what, $240,000 a year. That's money they don't have. Now, let's go with what Senator Jess was talking about, building all these hangars for plane repairs and whatnot, because that also creates jobs. You know, now GCC and everybody else can come in a trade, and SIFA, pretty much, you know, like, hey, can you guys know how to fix the wheel on an airplane? Yeah.
Science is fun, and so is the airlines.
Exactly. So, you know, now you can build a trade. You're building jobs. I mean, you're killing 10 birds with one stone, creating jobs, infusing money into the economy.
There you go.
You know, a new tax
SIFA will be called SIFA, 2 A's. Science is fun and awesome.
And also airlines.
And also airlines. Also more A's.
You know, but you see what I'm saying, the domino effect here. And so it just amazes me that whenever there's an opportunity to infuse new cash here on the island, there are some senators that are just outright against it. I don't know why. I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me.
They just want to make sure that everything is on above table, making sure that there are no special interests and the deals aren't happening behind closed doors.
Okay, I get it. All right, special interests and everything, that's great. But here's the interest I'm concerned about. Guam, the people of Guam, and how it's going to help.
Yeah, I don't want to lose any more flights. It's a big part of our economy,
I mean,
right?
think about it, right? I mean, wouldn't you like to land in an airport where you can actually go to a hangar and make sure that your plane is inspected, everything's good to go, and everything. I mean, most of these airlines would say, hey, there is a place where our planes can get fixed if something goes, awry and everything.
Sure.
So, let's utilize Guam.
No, yeah, there are airlines. I think it's Japan Airlines that also uses our facility or uses the airport to train their pilots.
Yeah.
Right?
Mhm.
And so they are always looking at ways to increase revenue.
Mhm.
But the real revenue generator is going to be increasing demand to come to Guam.
Mhm.
And so that part is not just the airport's responsibility. It's not just GVB's responsibility. It's all of ours. I mean, that was the whole reason why that campaign about wave, right? Wave at every visitor enthusiastically.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's all of us coming together.
Catch the wave. I mean,
Yes.
I still remember that.
All of
Berto
that.
Pinko and those guys.
But even the government too. We just all need to do a better job of being proud of the island, being proud of what we have to offer. And so, I mean, sometimes it doesn't have to be that difficult when we're thinking about simplicity. I mean, we just got to clean up our act. We're not doing a very good job of maintaining not just buildings but sidewalks.
When I was pushing the hotel gaming initiative right back in '96, I ran into this one gentleman, and he was like, our tourists come here for fun and sun. And I'm like, okay. And they also go to CNMI for that, and they also go to Hawaii for that, and everything. What stands out the most? I mean, when everybody's going for fun and sun and everything. I mean, now it's actually cheaper to buy a ticket from Japan to go to Hawaii versus Guam going to Hawaii.
Well, the advantage is that they're
here.
in the water 4 hours earlier.
Mm.
But it's no good when they're getting off the plane and having to pay very expensive fees, taxi fees.
Oh, yeah.
And they're deciding, you know what, I'm on a budget, I'm going to walk.
Yeah.
And there's no sidewalk for them to walk. And then they're walking down the road from Kmart, and they're seeing 2 dilapidated vacant hotels. And then they're looking at just the grass is coming over as they're walking, and the sidewalks are cracked and power poles in the middle of sidewalks, and they're trying to cross the street, but the crosswalk doesn't work efficiently. They're trying to go into the hotel, and there's hardly anybody there to greet them. That's the problem.
So
They're going to the beach, and there's very little shade.
Yeah, no, I get it. And then when they go to use the restrooms, it's either closed or it stinks like pee.
Yeah, you don't know if that's salt water or met me. You don't know.
I mean, we can go on and on about the shortcomings of Guam.
The rental cars, when they go to rent their vehicles and they go to Tarzan Falls or they go to another Segua Falls, and then they go back to their car and it's broken into.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's just some, and so now here we have that small pot of money and everybody's asking for it. So do we give it to public safety, public health? Do we increase or do we improve our tourists, attractions? There's so many gimmes and everything and all. And now that it's election year, again, everybody's going to start looking like Senator Dwayne Nicholas with that nice Santa Claus beard because it's
well,
Christmas
it's too
time.
late. You didn't want Santa Claus, okay? So it's too late. You chose others, not him. So Santa Claus left with his fireworks.
And I love the guy, man.
If Santa Claus is not going to bring us the fireworks, then GPA bucket trucks will.
My Santa Claus, Kane Dwayne, right there. And I'm not talking about Kane, all right? I'm talking about Candy Cane Dwayne.
3:44 in the afternoon. Let's transition to the roads.
Yes, let's do that.
Okay.
All All right, at 3:43 in the afternoon, it's about that time we hit the roads of Guam as we help you move forward along with Guam Auto Spot. You know, we are flying on the roads of Guam, standing by Pauly Suba. What do you got for us?
All right, this Wednesday afternoon, things aren't going to pick up for a little bit, but I haven't looked outside since about 1:30 this afternoon.
Oh, it's raining and it's
still
wet,
yeah, right.
sluggish
Okay.
out there, yeah.
So I mean, continue to look out for each other in these unsafe roads, right? Especially when it rains the way it has been, right? And so, I am looking at some congestion right around. Speaking of the Kmart intersection, right around John F. Kennedy High School, heading northbound, there are some delays there. I do know, according to the Guam Transportation Program as well, their website, that there is some striping and marking that happens along Route 3 to Route 27 near Anderson Air Force Base, right? That continues until about 4 p.m. every weekday. That's between Hoffaday Market to Anderson Air Force Base. Again, they're installing pavement markings and markers. Route 17, Cross Island Road improvements from Sunsari to Sumai to Zotnya. Looking at, actually no work is scheduled Monday through Friday this week. Looks like they are going to work on Saturday, August 8th. Looks like they are also installing power poles in the area. Power pole installation is happening. So that's scheduled for Saturday, August 8th from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. So put that on your calendar just in case you are you live in that area or you travel in that area on the weekends. Once again, helping you move forward on this Wednesday afternoon. It's Guam Auto Spot. Schedule a test drive today. Call them up, 478-AUTO. Check out their inventory on GuamAutospot.com.
Yeah, we got our friend that wants to say a couple things.
Yeah.
Half a day. I'm Clint Rigel, and I'm running for senator. If you're looking for proven, effective leadership, vote for me, and let's grow Guam together. I'm Clint Rigel, and I approve this message.
Need a truck that works as hard as you do? Then head to Triple J Ford's Big Deals on Big Wheels sales event. For a limited time, score prices below dealer cost and drive home America's best-selling truck for 49 years. The legendary Ford F-150 starting at just $39,995. Choose from the rugged XL, stylish STX, or well-equipped XLT. All backed by the strength, capability, and innovation only Ford delivers. But don't wait. All stock must go. Visit Triple J Ford in Upper Tumon or get pre-approved and shop online at triplejguam.com. Triple J Ford, customers first.
At Bank of Hawaii, we want to help make the goals you're saving for possible. Great rates are possible because you'll earn up to 5 times the national average on savings when you make a qualifying deposit of $25,000 from another bank. And flexibility is possible because you can access your savings anytime and still earn one of our highest rates.
Anything's possible.
Open a Bank Ohana savings special today and reach your possible. Rates based on the FDIC's national deposit rates. Terms and conditions apply. Visit boh.com/savings special.
So, what's your idea of a 10? I love guys who don't text and drive.
Girls that wait until they're parked to text? Bro, instant 10.
I don't know, but I got the ick when I went out with this boy who texted while driving.
10s wait to send. Eyes on the road, not your phone.
Don't drive distracted. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Ever dreamed of being on the radio? Now's your chance. Glimpses of Guam is looking for the next generation of on-air personalities to join our family on Wave 105. If you've got personality, creativity, and a passion for entertaining, we want to hear from you. No matter your experience level, this could be your opportunity to be heard across the airwaves. Send your resume and a short demo to jobs@glimpsesofguam.com and start your broadcasting journey today. Join the Glimpses of Guam radio team. Your voice belongs on the air on Wave 105.
How serious is youth vaping? Irreversible lung damage serious.
So,
1 in
what's
10
your
kids
idea of a 10? I love guys who don't text and drive.
Girls that wait until they're parked to text? Bro, instant 10.
I don't know, but I got the ick when I went out with this boy who texted while driving.
10's wait to send. Eyes on the road, not your phone.
Don't drive distracted. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Balanced, fair, thoughtful. Wave 105 FM.
Hafaday, Guam! The Guam Hotel and Restaurant Association invites you to the Fair Trade Show, Guam's premier hospitality and food service event. Join us August 19th and 20th at the Hyatt Regency Guam from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Experience hands-on training sessions and exciting culinary competitions featuring professionals, apprentices, and pastry talent. Discover new products, connect with suppliers, and celebrate Guam's hospitality industry. Don't miss Fair 2026. Visit ghra.org for details.
.49 in the afternoon. This is the Bright Side right here on Wave 105. You want to be a part of the conversation, you give us a call, 671-922-1051 or 2. Talk to this gentleman right here, Mr. Pauly Suba. Buenas.
All right, welcome back. Thanks for hanging out with us. We're going to be here, or I'm going to be here until about 4 p.m., and then we'll transition to Orden Fino tomorrow. We do it every Wednesday from 4 to 6. It's presented by the University of Guam Chamorro Studies Program. Senor Hale is here, and so he will be hosting the show. Let's see here. So we briefly talked about SIFA, right? And so there was a meeting with teachers and stakeholders at George Washington High School. And so it is pretty concerning that SIFA continues to be moved around, and I don't even know the whole story as to why. Because we can say that SIFA was not paying for their rent. However, they weren't forced to. But they definitely could not stay at their original home in Tidzin. So that part too was very concerning, right? We weren't getting straightforward answers. Just the fact that SIFA on the record had said, we don't owe them. There's no debt to be paid. And so all we want to do now is move forward. And we are looking at the possibility of going to Chief Brody. However, that didn't work out. The board at the time says there's also uncertainty of who can lease out this property over at Chief Brody. That would have been a great idea. But again, that didn't follow through. So they looked at Guam Community College. And I was so glad to see that they were able to be there. Saw the press release. I'm like, that makes a lot of sense. There are some board members that are instructors or professors at GCC. And so, they just want to help out, thinking about these students, these middle school students. And then, unfortunately, we got another letter saying that they're not going to move forward and to continue that agreement. So now SIFA has to go find another place. We hear in that same press release from GCC saying GDOE is actively working to assist the stakeholders of SIFA. And then we hear that it's going to be over at GW. And so even that kind of gets lost, right? Because the administrators or the deputy superintendents are saying, we reached out, the GW administrator or principal walked around and said, these spaces here are vacant. However, the teachers are saying, we weren't part of the conversation.
But there was an MOU already between the charter schools and the superintendent.
And the superintendent's office or central office says it was the principal that that basically said, these are the vacant spaces that you can utilize for CIFA. But the teachers were not having it. They're like, no. Our principal does an exceptional job of communicating with us. And we just want to know now how you're going to communicate further. How are we going to get through this school year? We want more updates. How long will CIFA be utilizing? Do you even have a plan on how you are going to keep all students safe? But from my understanding, again, I was not there. I was given information. But it's a pretty solid source that teachers feel like they were not prioritized and the students of GW were not prioritized. CIFA was prioritized over. That they were moved out after they've spent an ESL teacher, for example, spent money already to make sure that when her students come in, that they have a safe place to learn, a place that they can call their own, a place where they're comfortable. Some of these students, again, English as a second language, this is their first time at school here in Guam. They've come from the neighboring islands or wherever, right? And so if they feel like they're just getting crumbs or they don't feel like this is a safe learning environment, they're not going to want to learn. And it was explained that she was moved out of one of those rooms where she invested her own money to go to a laundry room. And so she's going to now, because of teachers' hearts, they're not going to just say, oh, well, this is what is given. More than likely, she will put all the effort into making that room ready to for her students to learn. And that's what gets lost sometimes in the conversation, right? When we're debating on whether this idea was a good idea or not, what gets lost is all of that effort of all the teachers throughout the school year, but even before the school year, all of the excitement of, understanding that the administration doesn't have the finances to get this, but I know my kids are going to really appreciate some of the equipment that I've also purchased with my own money. And so those things don't get talked about enough because we're arguing whether or not CIFA should go to that school or not. And so that's why the conversation needs to be had with teachers. Because what ended up happening is now we're just blaming. Was it the principal that didn't tell the teachers, or did they make this decision happen too fast? Well,
what happened to transparency?
If you and I understand that we're in a dilemma here. GDOE wants to assist. Everybody wants to assist, right? But there is two different structures here. Two different school systems. There is the charter school system, and they have their own board, and they have their own chairwoman. And then you have the GDOE, and you have the Guam Education Board. And I've heard charter schools say, stay out of our business. You don't have authority over us. However, in this instance, GDOE, if GDOE doesn't step up to the plate and provide this space for SIFA, they're the bad guys. They don't care about students.
No, I think it's more of like, because a lot of people think that, okay, charter schools, they're totally separate but equal type thing, right? But here's the thing. A lot of people don't know that charter schools get their money from GDOE. So it's incumbent
No, they
upon,
get their money from taxpayers.
Yes, but
from the general fund.
But GDOE is the one that disperses it to the charter schools. Because
it's the legislature that decides the cap.
Yeah.
And it comes from the general fund.
And the cap.
So GDOE doesn't decide how much money gets through. It just gets funneled.
It just gets funneled. Yeah.
They don't hold back money from the charter schools.
But that's what I'm saying.
The legislature appropriates.
That is what I'm saying. Just like public school is free education, so is the charter schools.
Yes.
Okay. And so the bigger picture here is, not my turf, don't control me and everything. The bigger picture is kids that are not going to have a school year if they don't find a facility. So you're right. GDOE wants to assist. I don't think anybody, it's not, nobody's getting mad at that at that fact.
Oh, yes. There are people getting mad.
Because, maybe do it because there are some vacant schools. I mean, if GDOE wants to rent out and make some money off of this, then look at the schools that are vacant. LBJ is vacant.
LBJ is, and so is Chief Brody. However, we heard from the Deputy Superintendent of Finance that they've been cannibalizing Chief Brody. They've been taking the air conditioners out and putting it in air conditioners all throughout GDOE. But see, this is the problem, and I'm out of time. The issue is that we only had a certain amount of time to help, and now we are just days away. It's Wednesday. First day of school is on Monday, and these conversations are happening on Wednesday.
You should have this should have taken already. We knew that SIFA was about to bail out on on their former
early on in the school year. And whether or not, it's too late now. We're in this situation. But this is why we have to execute faster. We have to have these conversations a whole lot faster. Because I'm going to tell you now, more conversations will happen between now and Monday. And there will be shortages somewhere at GDOE, at the charter schools, and were we ready? And so we just have to be honest with ourselves.
I'm just worried that everything, the stay in your lane type deal, and everybody just gaming, the gamesmanship, the sound bites, all that. And guess what? Once all the dust is settled, the kids are the ones that are going to suffer on this one. That's my point.
But I commend the teachers too, because they were speaking up for their students.
Yes,
they absolutely were.
Yes, it's sad because I do agree with you that the teacher that came out of pocket with her own money to fix her class, saying, okay, now you're going to have to go. No, this conversation should have happened a long time ago, before school year started. We had 3 months to prepare for this. And for all the cannibalism that's going on at these vacant schools, well, guess what? The charter school says, don't control me. Well, I'll tell you what, you got your money, all right? You got a cap for all the students. Depending on the population of the students, if it's 300, times that by 7,800, and you're talking about $3 million. Okay, you want to use the school? Then fund your own air cons. Do whatever you got. Whatever you need to do to and don't come to us for, because we're giving this to you rent free. You're not going to pay rent, but you're going to have to, that's the deal I would have made if I was superintendent. You can utilize the schools, but take care of everything. Because I'm taking out everything I got from those schools and putting it in other schools. That's one way we could have handled it. Not, wait to the midnight hour and then talk about, we need a place to house our students. Wow. Okay, this should have started the day after school ended last May.
Yeah. Today it is the 5th, and the first day of school is the 10th.
Exactly. 5 days.
KGUM FM and Dededo Guam. Don't go anywhere because Oden Finu Tomorrow, presented by the University of Guam Tomorrow Studies Program with Senyot Hale, is coming up right here on Wave 105.
AP News, I'm Mike Hempin. AP correspondent Ed Donahue